History books give you the version they want you to believe, but behind every legend, there's a darker story. These are 25 dark secrets that history's greatest figures took to their graves, or tried to. Secret number 1, Albert Einstein. Einstein's brain was stolen. Minutes after he died in 1955, pathologist Thomas Harvey removed his brain without permission from the family. He kept it hidden for decades, sliced into 240 pieces, preserved in jars. When a journalist finally tracked Harvey down in 1978, he found Einstein's brain sitting in a cider box under a beer cooler in an office in Kansas. The greatest mind in history stored next to someone's lunch. Secret number 2, Galileo Galilei. Galileo died under house arrest, sentenced by the church for proving the earth moves around the sun, but what happened after his death is stranger than the trial. Before he was buried, admirers cut off 3 of his fingers and extracted one of his teeth. Those body parts were passed between collectors for over a century. Today, Galileo's finger points skyward in a glass case at the Museo Galileo in Florence. The same finger the church tried to silence now points at the sky forever. Secret number 3, King Henry VIII. Henry VIII, the man who beheaded 2 of his 6 wives, had one of the strangest job titles in royal history. He employed 4 senior noblemen whose sole purpose was to wipe the royal backside. The official title, Groom of the Stool. The position was so intimate that the king shared his deepest secrets with them. It was considered one of the most powerful positions in England. Power in the 1500s meant something very different. Secret number 4, Marie Curie. Marie Curie won the Nobel Prize twice, in physics, in chemistry. She also died because of her work. Radiation poisoning slowly destroyed her body. But here's what nobody talks about. More than 90 years after her death, her personal belongings are still radioactive. Her notebooks, her clothes, her furniture, her cookbook. To read her lab notes today, you must sign a waiver and wear protective gear. The woman who gave the world nuclear science left behind a legacy too dangerous to touch. Secret number 5, Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison is remembered as the greatest inventor in American history. What history doesn't tell you, he built his empire by stealing from others. He took credit for inventions he didn't create. He stole patents. He suppressed competitors. When Nikola Tesla worked for him, Edison promised Tesla $50,000 to improve his motors. Tesla did it. Edison laughed and said he was joking. Then Edison spent years publicly electrocuting animals, horses, dogs, and an elephant named Topsy, just to convince the public that Tesla's AC current was dangerous. The elephant died in front of a crowd. Edison filmed it. History called him a hero. Tesla died broke and alone. Secret number 6, Henry Ford. Henry Ford didn't just build cars. He wrote a book called The International Jew. In it, he blamed Jewish people for almost every problem in the world. The book was translated into German and distributed across Europe. Adolf Hitler read it. He kept Ford's portrait on his desk in Munich. In 1938, Ford received the Grand Cross of the German Eagle, the highest honor Nazi Germany gave to a foreigner. Ford accepted it. Secret number 7, Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon conquered most of Europe. He also wrote a romance novel, Clisson and Eugenie, written when he was 26, tells the story of a soldier who falls in love, goes to war, and plans his own death after his wife betrays him. Critics see it as a window into Napoleon's deepest fears: abandonment, betrayal, and dying forgotten. He conquered continents, but couldn't conquer his own heart. Secret number 8, Alan Turing. Alan Turing broke the Nazi Enigma code. Experts estimate he shortened World War II by 2 years and saved over 14 million lives. His reward? His own government prosecuted him for being gay. He was convicted of gross indecency and given a choice: prison or chemical castration. He chose the chemicals. In 1954, he was found dead. An apple with a bite taken from it lay beside him. The British government formally apologized in 2009, 55 years too late. Secret number 9, Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln, the president who ended slavery, was also one of the most feared wrestlers in America. In nearly 300 matches in his youth, he lost only once. He trash-talked his opponents. He issued public challenges. He threw men twice his size to the ground. In 1992, he was inducted into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. The man on the penny was a fighter. Secret number 10, Nikola Tesla. Nikola Tesla, the man who invented the modern electrical system, died completely alone in a New York hotel room, room 3327. No money, no family nearby, no friends present. In his final years, he fell in love with a pigeon, a white female pigeon. He said, and this is a direct quote, "I love that pigeon as a man loves a woman." He spent his final decades feeding pigeons from his window, convinced they understood him better than any human. The man who powered the world could not power a single human connection. Secret number 11, William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was terrified that someone would dig up his body after death, so he wrote his own epitaph and engraved it on his tomb. It reads, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be he that moves my bones." 400 years later, no one has dared move him. The greatest writer in history used his final words as a threat. Secret number 12, Walt Disney. Walt Disney was frozen after death. That's what millions of people believe. It's completely false. He died of lung cancer in December 1966 and was cremated 2 days later. But here's the real secret. His housekeeper, Thelma Howard, received Disney stock as Christmas gifts for decades. She never sold a single share. She lived modestly, told no one. When she died in 1994, she was worth $9.5 million. She left half to her disabled son and half to charity. Secret number 13, Winston Churchill. Winston Churchill met Franklin Roosevelt completely naked. Churchill was stepping out of his bath in the White House when Roosevelt entered without knocking. Without missing a beat, Churchill said, "The Prime Minister of Great Britain has nothing to hide from the President of the United States." Roosevelt laughed. The alliance held. History turned on that awkward moment in a bathroom. Secret number 14, Mark Twain. Mark Twain, author of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, hated Jane Austen with a burning passion. He wrote, "Every time I read Pride and Prejudice, I want to dig her up and beat her over the skull with her own shin bone." The most celebrated American author of his time, dedicating his energy to hating a dead woman's novels. Secret number 15, Voltaire. Voltaire, the philosopher of the Enlightenment, champion of reason and free speech, lived in fear his entire life. Not metaphorical fear. After his writings enraged the French Parliament, he fled Paris and spent decades living near the Swiss border, so that if soldiers came for him, he could cross in minutes. The bravest voice of his era lived one step from running. Secret number 16, King George III, who ruled Britain for 59 years, urinated blue. The condition was caused by porphyria, a rare blood disorder. It also caused his infamous madness, the episodes of raving, incoherence, and violent outbursts that his court desperately tried to hide from the world. The most powerful man in the British Empire was quietly losing his mind on his throne. Secret number 17, Benjamin Franklin, founding father, inventor of the lightning rod, diplomat, genius, had a daily ritual that his biographers usually skip. Every morning he sat completely naked in front of open windows. He called it an air bath. He believed fresh air on bare skin was essential to good health. His neighbors in London and Paris had very mixed opinions. Secret number 18, Sir Walter Raleigh. Sir Walter Raleigh was one of the greatest explorers of the Elizabethan era. He was beheaded in 1618, accused of conspiring against the king. His wife Elizabeth refused to bury his head separately. She had it embalmed and carried it in a red leather bag. For 29 years, she attended social events, she had guests for dinner, she carried the bag everywhere, for 29 years, until she herself died, and the head was finally returned to his tomb. Secret number 19, Thomas Edison's last breath. On the night Thomas Edison was dying, Henry Ford made a strange request. He asked Edison's son to hold a test tube near his father's mouth to capture his last breath. Ford believed that a man's soul escaped with his final exhale. That test tube, sealed with a cork, is still preserved today at the Henry Ford Museum in Michigan. Edison's last breath, in a tube, on display. Secret number 20, Marie Antoinette. Marie Antoinette, the queen of excess, let them eat cake, secretly built an entire fake village inside Versailles. A full pastoral village with real peasants, real animals, real farmers, all performing poverty for her entertainment. She and her friends would dress as shepherdesses and pretend to live simple rural lives. while real French peasants starved outside the palace walls. The guillotine found her in 1793. Secret number 21. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, did not die from a drug overdose. The underlying condition was megacolon, a severely enlarged colon that had gone untreated for years. His doctor stated that Elvis had the bowel of an 80-year-old man. He refused the surgery that could have saved him. The most physically charismatic performer in history, brought down by a condition his own doctors could have treated. Secret number 22. Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic, sent her fiancé a prenuptial agreement before their wedding. In it, she wrote, "I shall not hold you to any medieval code of faithfulness to me, nor shall I consider myself bound to you similarly." She proposed an open marriage. He proposed to her 6 times before she accepted. The woman who broke every barrier in aviation also broke every conventional rule of love. Secret number 23. Aristotle. Aristotle, considered the father of Western philosophy, believed the brain was a minor organ. Its only function, he argued, was to cool the blood. The seat of intelligence, emotion, and the soul, the heart. He was wrong, completely, fundamentally wrong. The man whose ideas shaped Western thought for 2,000 years got the most basic thing about the human body backwards. Secret number 24. Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens walked between 10 and 20 miles every single night. Not for exercise, for compulsion. He suffered from severe insomnia, and walking through the dark streets of London at 3 a.m. was the only thing that settled his mind. He wrote some of the most humane literature in history while wandering alone through the shadows of Victorian London. Secret number 25. Albert Einstein. We began with Einstein's stolen brain. We end with his socks. Albert Einstein refused to wear socks for most of his adult life. He wrote in a letter, "When I was young, I found out that the big toe always ends up making a hole in the sock, so I stopped wearing socks." The man who bent the laws of physics was defeated by hosiery. 25 secrets, 25 legends, all of them human, all of them hiding something. The truth has always been there, hiding in plain sight. If this changed how you see history, share it with someone who needs to know. Subscribe to Hidden Legends, because every legend hides a darker story.